Hey everyone, welcome back to part 3 of our Klondike tutorial. Today we're going to be continuing with our types.a definitions. So I want to start off with a change from our last video. We've changed our cards enumeration to start at no card instead of the ace of clubs. And this is just to prevent us from having to reinitialize the array to start at no card, since now it's at 0 and C++ defaults the values in array to 0. Next, we're going to have a enumeration for our piles indexes. So we're going to define pile 1 as the index at 0, pile 2 as index at 1, and so on. Next, we're going to have a structure for our deck, and we want 2 attributes about this structure. And first of all, we're going to have this cards variable like we defined earlier, and it's just going to be our cards, and it's going to have a size of all deck size, so 52. And it's going to have another attribute, which is the current card, and it's just going to be the index of the current card in the cards array. And this is just so that we can increment it as we distribute cards to the piles in stock. Next, we're going to have a structure for the foundation, and we also only need 2 attributes about this foundation, which is the number of cards in this foundation and the actual stack of cards of the foundation, which is going to have a size of 13 cards. And basically, we're going to be incrementing this cards variable as we put more cards into the foundation, and this will also allow us to track the victory state. So if all our foundations are full and they all have 13 cards, then we've won the game. Next, we have our structure for our stock, and this is going to have 3 attributes. We're going to have our stack of cards in the stock. We're going to have the number of cards left in the stock, and it's going to start at stock size, and we're going to decrement it as we take cards away from the stock. And lastly, we're going to have the index of the current face card in the stock. And the reason why we're tracking these 2 variables separately is because instead of shifting all the cards in the stock when we remove the cards from the stock, we're just going to set the value to no card, and every time that we're flipping through the stock and we approach no card, we're just going to flip another time. So basically, we're just going to ignore the no cards in the stock. This way, we don't have to move around a bunch of variables in the array. And then we're going to have a structure for the pile, and this pile is going to have 3 attributes. First, it's going to have our stack or our pile of cards, which is going to have a maximum size of 20. We're going to have the number of revealed cards in the pile. So if you guys can recall from earlier, this is, since only the top card is revealed initially, this is just able to track the index of the current revealed card. So in this case, the index of the current revealed card is just going to start at 0. And the card number, which is the number of cards in the pile, is also going to start at 0. And the reason why we're initiating these 2 variables to 0 is we're actually going to, in our next step, we're going to reinitialize these variables in our constructor for our table structure. And actually, as a matter of fact, I want to rename this to game state. I feel like this is just a better fitting name for the purposes of this tutorial. And basically, our game state structure is going to have a few attributes. It's going to have its foundations. So this is the foundations that we have, which is going to be 4 foundations. So this is just so that in our game state, which game state is just the overall current state of the game, it has all things about the board. So in theory, this should just represent our current game. So we have our foundations, we have our stock, which is just a stock, and we have our 7 piles. We also want to track the number of moves in the game, which is going to start at 0, and the current game result, which 0 means the game is ongoing. And in our game state constructor, so this just represents that this is going to run every time we start a new game state variable / structure. And basically, we're going to have this for loop that's going to iterate through each pile, and it's going to set the number of revealed cards in this pile to the I index, and we're going to set the number of card numbers to I plus 1. So if you think about it, in our first pile that we've set as 0, so we start at 0, in our first pile, we are going to have, the revealed card is going to be 0. So it's going to be the first card in the deck. The card number is going to be 0 plus 1, which is going to be 1. So we're going to have 1 card, and the index of the last revealed card is going to be 0. So that's pretty self-explanatory. And with this, we've pretty much almost finished our types.h definition. We're going to complete that in our next video. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, please leave them below. And I look forward to seeing you guys in part 4.